Think of companies like Blockbuster. They had a prime good product for a time. Then companies like Netflix came out, changed the whole game and disrupted a whole sector. Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, those type of companies, they didn't think the whole Netflix, streaming, all this stuff was really going to be a thing. So they stayed. They stayed stuck in their way. Guess what happened? Do you know any more Blockbusters left? Do you know any more Hollywood Videos left? What's good, YouTube? I just want to thank you for watching and subscribing to the page. Whoo, this is going to be a good one. You're going to love this one. So I thank you. Enjoy the show. Sometimes you got to know when to take an L. Sometimes you need to know when to quit. Sometimes you need to know when it's time to stop doing something. You do not have to keep doing something just because you have to finish. There are things you actually don't need to finish because it might not be beneficial to you. Say like you're running a business or you start a business, right? Say you started a business, it was fun, it was exciting, it's new and everything like that, but now it put you in a whole bunch of debt. Now that job or that business that you started is no longer fun. It is no longer fulfilling. It is now stressful. Would you keep digging yourself a bigger hole? Or should you cut some of your losses when it comes down to it? If you are no longer enjoying it, it is becoming too overbearing and overwhelming. Why would you keep doing something knowing you're just going to keep going down? That's why businesses fail. Think of companies like Blockbuster. They had a prime good product for a time. Then companies like Netflix came out, changed the whole game and disrupted a whole sector. Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, those type of companies, they didn't think the whole Netflix, streaming, all this stuff was really going to be a thing. So they stayed. They stayed stuck in their way. Guess what happened? Do you know any more Blockbusters left? Do you know any more Hollywood Videos left? No. Why? They didn't pivot. They decided to stay stuck in their ways forever. Instead of deciding to quit what it is that they're currently doing or take the L, they decided to stay what they were doing time and time again, not pivot at all. And that's what I mean by quitting or taking an L is you can quit doing something or doing a part of something and pivot in a way that elevates you. So you can still have a business and run a similar type of business and add something else to it based on the environment and the things that are going on in the economy. Make the changes and adapt. That's life at the end of the day too. You think of playing like a sport. Think of like a football player. A football player spends their whole life training, grinding, doing everything they got to do to get to the top of their class in high school, to get to the college level, to get to the top of their class at college, to get drafted by the NFL, to be a top player in the NFL, get all the money, take care of their whole life and family, and do everything that they were supposed to do because everybody thought they were the one. The goal is to get to the NFL. I made it to the NFL. Then what happens? You tear your ACL. You break a bone. You do something that now ends your career. Now what? Some people end up spending their time continuing to train and prepare because this is all they know. All I know is football, so I got to keep going. I got to keep training. I got to keep doing what I got to do at the end of the day. What if it's really done? What if you're training and doing some stuff just to try out and never make a team? And you spend the next 1 to 5 to 10 years doing that just to go through the same cycle. At some point, you got to know when to take a L. You got to know at the end of the day, you got to pivot at some point in life. Not everything is going to be up forever. At some point, things are going to go down. And if you don't pivot in the right way, it's going to put your life in a bad situation. Not just you, other people as well. What happens to that football player that now tore their ACL and now all they did was work and grind and spend all their time doing things in football? They went to college and just got some random degree just to be able to get to the NFL because they needed to go to college and do that kind of thing. They did what they were supposed to do. What happened? They still got hurt. Something out of their control. Life happened. So at some point, you got to know when to be like, you know what? I got to take an L on this part. I got to pivot. I got to make a change. Because if I don't change, I now put myself at risk of staying on this path, and I'm not guaranteed I'm going to be successful. If it's worth it to put yourself in a position knowing you do not have control, the owners have control, the investors have control. You are just a player. When you are just a player, when it comes to a sport like the NFL, then they pick you. If you do anything wrong in their eyes, whether it's in the media, with your health, anything like that, they can cut you. You could be the top best player in the whole league. That don't matter. Why? Because the people at the top run the show. It is never the person at the bottom that runs the show. The person at the bottom is the one that's always trying out, the one that's always applying for the job, the one that's always putting in the most work to get the least amount of compensation for it. That is the reality of it. The people at the top will always win. Why do you think I'm an investor? I tell people all the time, I am an investor. It is a part of my identity. Why? Because the investors always win. You think of a company like Apple. One, Apple was not always the company it is now. It started off very, very tiny. Nobody knew what Apple was going to be. It was very speculative at one point. People didn't think it was going to grow like that. There's a lot of negative things about it. Look at where Apple is now. Even then, who gets the most compensation for Apple's success? It's not the workers, it's the investors. The investors do get more than the owners to a degree, and they deal with less things. All they have to do is buy the stock in the company and let it ride. The people who work for Apple have to show up. They have to create the ideas. Those ideas now get put on to the managers, the CEOs and stuff like that, and they get all the credit for it. And guess who makes money off of all those ideas that the person at the bottom did, all the work that the person at the bottom did? The investors at the top. What did the investors do? They put in the money. They put in the capital. They put all the people underneath them in position to be able to create the product. That's why they win. Same with the NFL. The people put the money into the stadiums, the jerseys, the people, the drafting, like all the players, all that stuff. So they are expecting a return. If you don't give them a return on their investment, they have a right to let you go. They can cut you. If it's Apple, they can fire you. What are they going to do? They're going to replace you because there's always someone else new that could replace you in those positions. That's why the investors always win. Anybody can be an investor. You might be a lower level investor because there are levels to what type of investor you can be. But anybody can be an investor, and it actually requires less risk than being the player. Less energy, less work ethic than being the player. All you have to do is do a little research. Be a little smarter. Be a little wiser. It ain't always the person who lifts the most and does the most and looks the strongest is always the one who wins. I'm telling you, the investors in any category always win.